Hi everybody, Jason here. Today we're actually going to be talking about the Supaboy. I recently picked this up at GameStop, which it retails for about 90 bucks. You might have seen this online. It has actually been around for quite a little while now, and it has actually been around for quite a little while, but it actually finally started to hit the retail market. And I was pretty happy. I really like the Super Nintendo. It's the second system that I ever owned, and I definitely played it a lot more than I played my old Nintendo. And it's kind of cool that it gives you the option to play Super Nintendo games on the go without the need for having the new 3DS XL and downloading them through the eShop and only the titles that they have available. Because I actually have a pretty okay selection of Super Nintendo games, and I really like them. But anyway, let's take a look at the box real quick. So of course it says up here, play like it's 1991 using the Super Nintendo font. The actual system itself says that it is actually compatible with the Super Nintendo, and it will actually play the Super Famicom games. I unfortunately don't have any Japanese carts to try out, which is sad, but I think it's definitely cool that this is import compatible. It does actually work and function as its own standalone console because it has a TV output as well as controller plugs for 1 and 2 player, and it uses a lithium-ion rechargeable battery. On the back of the box, basically just some technical specs talking about how it's, at home or on the go. The Superboy plays your favorite SNES and SF and Super Famicom cartridges anywhere, anytime, whether it is portable or a home console. Superboy is the best choice. Sorry, it's really hard to read through the viewfinder. Anyway, so basically it just gives you a little bit more of the actual specifications of the system and things like that. So, let me, I would open it, but I actually have already opened it, and here it is. So inside the box you actually get the AC adapter, which uses what looks like a mini USB type format, as well as the TV out cable, which just uses like a headphone type jack to plug into the red, white, and yellow. And then we get a carrying case and the actual Superboy itself. The Superboy comes with the battery uninstalled, needs a little screwdriver and about like 30 seconds work to actually put it back in there. But other than that, it's basically ready to go. As you can see, you got your standard face buttons, X, B, A, Y, in the standard Super Nintendo setup. It's very close to like the way that it's set up in the Americas, because it uses that pastel purple and the slightly darker purple for the colors rather than the red, yellow, green, and blue. D-pad, start select buttons, and then this is the actual system reset. Up here we have the charge cable port, the right and left buttons, power, and then the AV out. And then on the bottom, you've got your headphone jack, volume, and the power indicator LED. On the actual back of the system, aside from the battery cover, this is just the eject switch to help you get the system. Oh, sorry, not an eject switch. It's a locking switch to help keep the game in there while you actually have it playing. All right, so why don't we check it out and actually get this playing. Give me just a second. All right, so I've got a selection of games from my own personal collection. As I was telling you, I really like the Super Nintendo. Yoshi's Island 2, Yoshi's Island, Super Mario World 2 is my all-time favorite game. Really, really like this one, so we're going to try that one first. The other cases that you see are cases that I've made. I did a bulk order of old video game cartridge cases, and I started printing out custom box arts and everything for them. Alright, so game fits in on top. It does stick out quite a bit, so it definitely it's not the prettiest design. I mean, it probably would have been cool if the actual cartridge could sit facing the actual outside, a lot like a Game Boy, but I can't really complain. It's not made by Nintendo. It plays Super Nintendo games on the go, and that's about it. Alright, oh, see my tripod. Alright, let me get this turned on. So the screen is, it's actually pretty okay quality. I say that it's not the greatest quality LCD screen, but the fact that it's a backlit LCD that plays with pretty good quality, I'm fairly happy. View angles, as you can see, I mean, they're not the greatest. You basically have to be looking at it pretty much straight on to be able to see and play. So let's get in here. So in previous tests of playing this, I found that the actual controller for the D-pad was its biggest weakness. I had some issues with moving in certain directions. It just basically wasn't as responsive as I would have liked it. But other than that, it's not too bad at all. That's a better view. And I'm gonna die. Okay, but that gives you a good idea of like how it actually works. Reset, of course, takes you back to the home. I'm gonna plug in a different game real quick, and we'll check that out. Alright, why don't we try Starfox, seeing as the new Starfox Zero actually just came out a couple weeks ago. Let's see how this looks. So if you haven't noticed my tripod in the reflection, it's made out of Lego. I don't really have a tripod set for filming with my phone, so I just built one. And it works pretty well. Alright, so Starfox. Pretty darn classic. I really, really like this one. It felt nice and arcadey, while at the same time it played really well. It had lots of different options. I think that's the reason why I like this one so much. Let's just go with Control A, and we'll just go with it. And let's just go into the game. I'm probably going to do kind of terrible because I think that I have the standard controls, which are inverted. And again, I'm playing through the viewfinder, so it's not necessarily like the greatest way for me to play this. Did you guys ever play Star Fox? I mean, which was your first Star Fox experience? Did you play it Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64? Did you play that unusual Star Fox adventure with the dinosaurs? Did you ever play any of the 3DS or DS handheld ones? So let's just play a little bit of this first mission here. All in all, I'll say that this actually does look really nice, and I actually don't mind the way that it looks through the viewfinder. I mean, it's basically exactly what I'm seeing. You'll notice that sometimes like the colors, they get a little bit too bright, and that's just because it's like the angle of the screen and the way that they have it lit. It's not necessarily what I would consider to be the greatest, but it definitely works. Let's see if I can't get the response on the actual LNR triggers seems to be a little bit sluggish. Sorry, it's actually just like difficult to play this like this. And see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm trying to actually move left, but as you can see, like it's not really responding as quickly as I would like it to, or at all sometimes. And I'm doing quite terribly. I must admit, I actually really liked the 3D visuals on this game. There was like a couple others that used I don't think it was like the Mode 7 or the Super Effects chip that actually gave like this nice polygonal type look to it, and I actually had a lot of fun with it. Alright, so I'm going to play one more game real quick, so let's just do that. I'm actually going to go for Killer Instinct. Definitely one of my favorite fighting games. I remember I bought this pre-owned from a mom and pop video store, and it actually had that CD that it came with, the Killer Cuts, and it's like my favorite thing to listen to when I was like a freaking teenager. I've actually had a lot of fun playing this on the Xbox One too, with the remake or reboot of the system that they've been doing. They've actually done like quite good justice to this game. Made the characters look super awesome. I liked the way that they updated it, and it plays super fast and vicious, and I feel like I can actually do better combos in that one than I ever could with the Super Nintendo version. Saberwolf is my favorite character. He's who I play with basically all of the time, and I think it's just because I like the controls that he has with the sort of charge back moves rather than like the quarter circles for like a Ryu type character from Street Fighter. Sorry, I was a bit out of frame. Nope. See if I can at least win a match. Alright, so there you go. Hyperkin, Supaboy, plays all your Super Nintendo games on the go. Give me just a second. I'm going to see if I can't actually get it plugged into the TV and see how it works as an actual standalone console. So I'm just going to pause real quick. Alright, I'm back. As you can see, I've got a really weird setup here. But, so it is actually running on the Super Nintendo, the Supaboy that I have plugged into the TV. I do actually have a Super Nintendo hooked up to my entertainment system, but I promise it's actually running. And I'll show you the setup after I actually do this little demo. So it's actually pretty easy to set up. Plug straight into the red, white, and yellow plugs on the back of your television. And as long as you have a game plugged in, it actually runs. The interesting thing is that not only is it running on the TV, but it's also running at the same time on the Supaboy. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just how it works. But I actually do like the fact that it is still running. And it runs basically as I remember it. It's not really any different, and it's a good show of my skills with Mario here. Now that I'm actually playing with a proper controller, I'm still just as awful as I was when I was playing before. I will admit, I don't know if it's just the TV that I have. Image looks nice and clear. I see a few scan lines going on in the background, and I don't know if that's just because of the way that it's connected, or if that's just my TV or the copy of the game. But either way, it looks and plays really well, and again, more skills for me. But I will never not be terrible at these games, especially when I'm trying to show them off in front of people. Let's see here. I will say this, though. The controls are much more responsive now that I'm actually using a proper Super Nintendo controller to play. And if you remember what I was talking about earlier, you see like the actual color design of the controller. It matches everything perfectly, down to like even the grayscale color of the console itself. I remember spending like ages and ages playing this game, going to like the Star Road, beating all those levels, getting like those weird levels like funky and everything like that, which were like crazy difficult, getting all the stars. And then like when you finish all that, you get the Koopa Troopas that look like Mario heads rather than the actual turtles themselves. It's me not paying attention again. One thing that I do really like is with this particular version of the game, I'm glad that they included it in Super Mario Maker, because that's honestly like my favorite way to play, and any of the levels that I've made on Super Mario Maker myself have actually predominantly been in this particular format. So I'm going to show you real quick the setup that I have going on here, and then we'll just get back to the end of the video. So, as I was telling you, I was playing this with a regular controller through the Supaboy, and as you can see, it is actually playing exactly the same image on the TV as it is on the game. I'm actually kind of curious as to whether I can play... No, I probably have to have it set up for two-player mode. But cord from the top of that goes into the back of my console right here. Sorry for the low light. And there you go. It's actually nice and easy. Like, it's kind of cool that I can basically take this to anyone's house that has a TV capable of, using that red, white, and yellow plug and play Super Nintendo games. It makes portable systems, all that much easier. Which, I mean, all things considering, this particular version of the Super Nintendo, it's really small, and the game cartridges don't take up that much space, so it's not like it's not a portable system in the first place. I think the only thing that makes it easier is that it has a rechargeable battery rather than, needing an AC adapter, so one less thing to worry about. Alright, anyway, tell me if you like this video. Let me know, what's your favorite Super Nintendo experience? What's your favorite Super Nintendo game? Have you purchased the Supaboy? Do you have any, want to purchase it after seeing this? Talk to me about it in the comments. And as a little afterward, one thing that I didn't actually talk about was the audio quality. I realized this as I was disconnecting everything. Also, when you disconnect the TV out, it disables the use of this, at least for the first person, the first player. So basically I had to go right back to playing with normal controls. So it actually is kind of nice that it hot swaps, and you can basically plug it into the TV and then just take it away and still keep on playing without having to turn it off. But the one thing that I really didn't talk about was just audio in general. So I turned it all the way up, and I don't know if you can actually hear it through my recording, but it definitely has that that weird hum, and when it gets into actual, and I'll just start up a quick level to show you, it might be a little bit easier to hear that hum right now, now that the level's actually playing, and it's a little bit quieter, but yeah, it doesn't hit the high notes very well, and even the jump with that echo effect that you're hearing, it's almost painful to hear. But if you turn it down just a little bit, it definitely does come back a little bit better. Honestly, this is one of those things that if you were actually playing this on the go, I would definitely recommend using headphones, because otherwise it just might not sound the greatest, and all you're going to hear is sort of a garbled mess. Aside from that, I mean, I'd have to give this a 75% on its execution, just for the fact that I can take it, play with it, it plays foreign games, and it works with all sorts of different stuff. I can plug it into TV without having to plug in power. Basically, I don't know, it's definitely a good system, but it has its moments of weakness. Anyway, let me know what you think, and we'll talk later. Bye!